A number of years ago, my family moved into a new house in the countryside. It was a beautiful Georgian mansion, very rare and very old, beautifully maintained. The previous owners were selling it at a ludicrously low price, and my parents had always dreamed of owning a home like this, and so they obliged. It wasn't before long, probably within the first few days, that we figured something was off. The house needed a lot of work, restorative work. Lots of the wood had started to go moldy and definitely needed replacing. The previous owners obviously didn't live here, and as such, it had deteriorated considerably. In any case, my parents had a lot of work cut out for them, and it was while they were clearing rubbish away that we saw something spooky. We were all just moving things and putting what we wouldn't need in bin bags to throw it out. When down the hallway we looked up, and all four of us saw a little girl happily and obliviously skipping away into the darkness. My dad immediately called out, "Hey, what are you doing?" and run over to see who this girl was and why she was in the house. His assumption was that she thought this house was still abandoned, which it no longer was, and was trespassing, despite the fact there were now cars in the driveway. But upon a thorough search of the house, did he find nothing. Sightings of this little girl continued. There'd be some nights where I'd hear giggling down the hallway, or I'd hear my door creak open and see a pair of eyes staring at me before vanishing into the dark. Every one of my family members was afflicted by the curse of this little girl, her infernal laughter, the fact that she breathed behind your head, and when you turn around she wouldn't be there. It was driving my parents mad. They tried to get in contact with the previous owners, but they had moved out of the country, and my parents were starting to see why. They did some local research and didn't find a lot about the house. But about 4 months later, when my mum was digging up the garden, did she unearth something unexpected. She found a shoe, and as she was pulling the shoe out of the ground, did she see that it was attached to a skeletal leg. The police were called, and it turns out that she had unearthed the remains of a small girl, probably no older than 6 to 8. This was a terrifying discovery. We paid for a casket and gave the little girl a funeral. Only after that did the activity truly die down. Not altogether though, just slightly minimized. As time went on, the activity nearly completely stopped, and we almost forgot that we had a ghostly inhabitant in our home. The house, as it turns out, was a lot harder for my parents to do than they originally thought. It needed so much more work and money than they were prepared to invest, and sadly had to sell the property and take a loss. I was glad to no longer be the plaything of some spiritual girl from the 5th dimension. The next house we moved into was completely ghost-free, and that's the way I think I'll have my life from here on out.